We're just saying, the big chairs hardly have enough room to sit.
Hello, Valerie. How are you? That's, of course, what that is.
Loretta's got to check, but a lot of these dates are not represented.
A lot of people are getting back to me and telling me I got some business from them. I said, that's good to hear. I'll be 350 people saw it.
We don't have to finalize.
But you never sent me an updated picture, so I'm going to take a picture of you.
For next year?
For next year. I'm going to come to your office and let you pose. Pose second.
Getting quicker and quicker.
Yeah. But not everybody is. You heard
Everybody goes to the special surgery.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to call this meeting of the Holmdel Township Zoning Board to order, today being Wednesday, June 1st. Francie, please.
This is the open public meeting at NJSA 1014 and the regulations governing remote meetings, NJAC 539.1.5. I hereby announce that adequate notice and electronic notice of this meeting was provided in a notice dated January 5th, 2021 and January 19th, 2022 that was sent to the Asbury Park Press, to River Times, posted on the bulletin board and on the main access door to Town Hall, filed in the clerk's office and posted on the township's website, www.holmdeltownship.com.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Adrin? Here. Dr. Blumenthal?
Here.
Mr. Verbo?
Here.
Ms. Campus? Here. Dr. Lateef?
Here.
Mr. Luciani?
Here.
Mr. Urbanitopoulos?
Here.
Ms. Perez? Here. And Dr. Shaw.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and stay standing for a moment of silence to honor police and military who've been wounded or killed in action. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
This is yours.
We'll say a little more about it when we get to it, but the continued public hearing on 470 Red Hill Road, Dementia Center, we will not be hearing that hearing tonight due to circumstances beyond our control of the situation with the witnesses that were to be here tonight, and they're not. So anyway, we'll go on then for tonight. We have 3 items on the agenda. We'll be discussing the continuation date for that Dementia Center when we get to that item later on.
If you want it to stay up, you just press.
Item 1, please.
Item 1, complete list waivers, 2125 NJSH Route 35, Holmdel Storage Developers LLC, preliminary final major site plan, number 2022-01, Block 58, Lot 25, in the TMHO-3 zone. Applicant proposes to construct a 4th-floor, 3-story and basement self-storage facility along with associated parking, handicapped parking, loading, and driveway areas. Variances are requested to reduce the front yard setback to allow the placement of the building and parking within the setbacks required. It is also required to eliminate the front and side yard landscape buffer requirements to allow the placement of the project as shown on the plans. A variance is also requested for FAR to allow the proposed project.
You're here for the applicant? You want to introduce yourself, please? And let's see, this is not yet the public hearing, so we don't have to worry about notice and escrow. Huh?
And swearing in.
Yeah, okay.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Tyler Prime with the firm of Prime & Tuvell. I represent the applicant. We are here after our last meeting. We had requested some waiver items for completeness, which were not granted. So we'd submitted the missing items. I believe everything now that was requested has been submitted. So we were just here for completeness.
Bob, would you care to comment about that?
The attorney has accurately represented the issue. We did issue a completeness letter back in March of 2022, and at the April 6th hearing, the board just declined granting a couple of completeness waivers. One was for stream cross sections, and another was for a tree inventory, both of which have been provided by the applicant in the meantime. We have since reviewed those documents in addition with all the other documents provided with the application package, and the application from our perspective can now be deemed complete.
Okay, and then you folks have in fact issued an engineering review letter, which does raise all kinds of questions, but that's not a completeness issue. That's more a question of information and comments appropriate to a hearing once we get to it.
Correct. We did issue our first engineering review dated May 27th, 2022.
Okay. Do you folks have any further comments at this time with regard to the completeness question?
No, just that we'd be prepared to address all outstanding items with testimony at the public hearing.
Okay. Do any board members have any questions about the question of completeness this time? So can we then have a motion to deem this application complete, and then we could move forward towards scheduling a hearing?
Motion to deem application complete.
I second it. I second it.
Ms. Abram?
Or Fon seconded it.
Okay.
Either
They
one
can
of us
share it.
did.
Ms. Abram?
Yes.
Dr. Blumenthal?
Yes?
Mr. Burkle?
Yes.
Ms. Campus?
Yes.
Dr. Latif?
Yes.
Mr. Luciani?
Yes.
Mr. O'Fannatopoulos?
Yes.
Okay, you're deemed complete,
The
and
date goes.
so the clock on holding hearing starts. Difficulty, and we'll be talking about a bit more shortly, is that we are coming into summer months when we normally don't have as many meetings, but our calendars are pretty full, and we're trying to wrap up a prior hearing as well. So I guess the best is for you to be in contact with Loretta, and she'll schedule you as best as she can.
Talk tomorrow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 2.
Continued public hearing, 470 Red Hill Road, Dementia Center, preliminary final site, matter 2020-6, block 49.02, lots 40, 40Q, and 41 in the R40 B zone. Applicant seeks a use variance to create an assisted living residence, which will be a facility for those suffering from dementia for 105 residents. The facility will consist of a state-of-the-art residential memory support program that will house a variety of innovative programs and building design concepts, including an assessment program, educational services, and extensive community outreach support. This application will not be heard this evening and will be carried to a date certain at the June 1st zoning board meeting.
Which is tonight. So the key, unfortunately, the applicant's planner is not able to attend tonight, which was the testimony we expected, and it has to be deferred. And there's been a variety of communication of Loretta and Marty with the applicant on what's possible. And what it seems is the best next date, which for the continued public hearing, is Wednesday, June 29th. I believe that was okay with all of you except for one, which was Irfan. Is that still correct? In that case, what we would do would have a motion to have a special meeting on Wednesday, June 29th at 7 p.m. And we would carry this public hearing to that date without any further notice to the public.
Motion, special meeting on June 29th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? While we're at it, I want to discuss, after talking with Marty, our sense is that one more hearing is not likely to complete this because we do have objectors and other witnesses yet. During July, we only have one currently scheduled meeting on the 20th. And there is already at least one backyard variance scheduled for that, and I'm not sure when this storage facility, that might be also on for the 20th. That has to be worked out yet. So we don't want to, I think we don't want to drag out the dementia center further. Loretta's been in contact with Sandy Brown's secretary and Sandy Brown and Marty. There are a number of dates that were suggested potentially in July. Most of them are Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and Loretta's got to clear that with the township because usually the township committee and the planning board meets on those dates, other dates. Or environmental commission in the case of Wednesday. One other date that was not, they suggested was Tuesday, July 26th, and this room is not available because that's the date of the special election.
Cancel the special election.
Anyway, the top of their list, the date that struck me as potentially being good, and we don't need to commit to it tonight, but I think at least let people aware and let people take a look at their calendars and let Loretta know if those are dates that are okay, is Monday, July 11th.
What?
So,
On Monday?
Yeah.
I'm a little against adding any other special meetings. The point of having a light summer is to give board members an opportunity to enjoy their summer. And we're adding a special meeting in June. It defeats the whole reason we don't schedule 2 meetings over July and August as it is. I mean, I'm sorry the applicants had issues. I think the delay in this application is solely on the applicant. They repeated witnesses twice. They've been disorganized. They haven't been concise in their testimony. And I'm not sure why this entire board should commit itself to another date for their convenience when we've been hearing this application for 8 months already. I don't see any reason to add another meeting. We're adding the June 29th meeting, which I think is generous of the board. I do not support adding another special meeting in July and August.
Just to be clear, the applicant didn't ask me to add another special meeting. I think that's Ralph's idea to get it done.
Well,
I don't want to misconstrue it.
Correct.
No, well, I don't know who did. I'm not.
I'm suggesting we'd like to try to be done with this application.
I would have
from
loved
here.
to have been done with this application. It's why we're all
Yeah.
here tonight, right? Otherwise, it's kind of could have put someone else, again, I understand that things can't be helped, so I don't want to sound I'm coming down too hard on the applicant, but we could have had several other applications probably tonight. There's been other instances where I don't feel that they're moving their testimony along at an efficient rate. So I personally am not in support of adding another special meeting tonight. That's my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're right, Marty. This suggestion came from me. I think we would, at least I feel, we'd like to complete this process for this application and be done with it before too much more time has gone on. That's why I was suggesting we consider trying to get it done in July.
Can I make another suggestion?
Sure.
We could take the June 29th meeting. We could commit to having a longer meeting if necessary. We could tell the applicant, here's what you're getting to finish your case. We can tell the objectors, here's what you're getting to put your case on. And then we'll stay and bang this out and hear the public comments and then have a discussion and vote.
And I would just say, professionally, for me, Mondays are a little bit more challenging, so I would definitely have no problem staying late on a Wednesday. I just might have to do this, so that's me personally.
And you do have July 20th as a fallback if you needed to have another hour or two because you only have the one backyard. So
At the moment.
if Loretta doesn't put anything else on for that day,
That's our July date, July 20th.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
wrap the whole thing up on one day?
No, I'm saying that would give you the second day, not a full meeting, but
To finish.
Some
probably
additional
at least an
time.
hour and a half,
So
2
maybe we
hours.
should plan on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the idea of trying to go longer on the 29th, but even with that, I'm suspicious we can't control how many people are going to say how much and how long the objectors are going to take.
Well, then we go to the 20th.
Well,
So
we
that-
can
that
look
would-
back. I mean, to the extent that while it wasn't really what I was, originally I wouldn't have advocated for it. When we have a lot, I normally, when I would chair a meeting, would see how many people we had and base how much time we're going to give each person to speak based on how many people. We have 5 people, I don't know, then let them go until they're done. We have 25 people, then everyone gets 3 minutes, and that's it, they're done.
Well, I think in this case, we know that the planner, which is probably the most critical witness for the Dementia Center, has indicated he needs an hour and a half. We need to allow for public questions of that testimony. The objectors have indicated between them they have 2 witnesses, and it's going to be an hour and a half, which is not an unreasonable amount of time for those things, so that then add to that public questions and comments, and I don't think any of us want to go more than 4 or 5 hours.
No, 5 hours.
And
We had 7 o'clock and we would finish up by midnight?
yeah, and I don't think that's, I think there's more hours needed than that. So hence, I think we're going to have to go beyond the 29th.
I think we give the objectors an hour.
We've heard so much from this applicant, and I'm kind of hesitant to give them another date so that they can give us more information. I would say June 29th, let's go to as late as we possible. But I really feel we haven't given the public the ample amount of time to express themselves as we gave the applicant to express their view.
Well, that's my concern, that we need more time for the public.
To cut off
Well,
public
But
now.
in fairness, that does come at the end, right? Their comments will come at the
So
end.
how about this then, right? First of
You're
all,
right.
I don't know why the planner can't confine themselves to an hour. I'm betting if they're organized and we try to hold our objections and questions till the end so we don't interrupt the flow, that they can finish in an hour. The objector should be able to put their testimony on in the remainder of the meeting. And then that July other meeting that we have, that can be open to the public and voting. So that way, we've got a whole, whatever, hour and a half of a meeting that's there for public comment and voting. I mean, I would think in a 3-hour meeting, give or take, that the applicant, that the objector and the applicant should be able to finish all their testimony.
Everyone does seem to go longer than we always think.
Yeah,
We just should be, we should, if
Well,
the
we
board
have to-
confines
we have
its
to
questions.
stop- We have to,
Right.
everyone has to be more concise.
Right, the board.
And the board has to not editorialize and interject and just let the applicant, without any comments, put on their case. We'll hold all of our questions till the end, let them put their case on, let the objectors put their case on. Obviously, our board professionals have to have time to be able to speak to what they have to say. That our target then would be to get through all the testimony from the applicant and the objectors in the next meeting, and then, Francine, let the public have whatever time they need on that following meeting when we plan a budget.
I object to scheduling July 11th, but not saying that we wouldn't maybe decide on a date after that if we find we need more time.
We've got
Is there a
Do we
deadline?
know the professionals can say
No.
delay?
There's no deadline.
Well,
If we happen to push this to September
They
or
don't have to,
October.
they don't have to keep agreeing to the extensions, because we're well past that point.
Okay.
But most applicants do. But at some point, they say, I'm not going to extend it, but then you got to finish and vote.
Yeah, it's not fair to the applicant to keep this going on either.
No, I
That's
think they
right.
want to finish too. In
Right,
fairness, it's been expressed to me.
Tonight was their meeting. This is their delay.
Right, well, it's,
Yes.
it's a
Not
COVID
their fault.
issue, so
Wasted
it's
it
not,
tonight.
it's out of, in fairness, it's in nobody's control. You know, and it's not somebody going out to dinner.
Okay, well, I guess we did agree to hold the special meeting on the 29th.
Right, let's do that.
I'll reiterate, I think we agreed on that. I'll reiterate, we're carrying the Dementia Center to June 29th without further notice to the public. And what, to Loretta, pencil in the Dementia Center again for then July 20th.
Well, before you pencil it, I'm looking at the pending applications. So are any of those need to be heard, or we can delay them a little bit?
Well, one of them is on for July 20th.
I see Overlook. But what
Yes.
about Kepa 20,
Those are not yet ready.
But we didn't get the completeness.
okay, so that's that Verde Woods.
I'm not sure about that yet.
East Lawn, Eastbrook,
Eastbrook's just about ready.
Schenk.
Well, the other big one is the storage facility. The storage facility needs to be
Yeah, but that
started.
didn't get started yet, so we could try to do these little ones, you know, maybe get them all done in July 20th if they're ready.
They have
Well, no, the
120
July
days
20th is
scheduled
going
to
to be
start.
the
No.
cleanup day.
Let's have one more meeting, please.
Yeah.
Let's get through the 29th.
Well,
Let's see where we are.
I know we're talking about adding meetings, I don't see why we have to, what's on this paper.
All right, so I guess right now, we're going to table that discussion and see where we are on the 29th, right?
If
Correct.
it comes on the 29th that you have somebody that's coming up against the clock, the board will have to decide then, but let's do what I think we should do what was suggested. Do the 29th. Carry it to the 20th if we have to, and if there's a need for somebody that needs a deadline, we'll deal with it.
For the storage facility, what's the number of days for that one?
120.
Yeah, so I mean.
120,
we should have
okay.
Plenty of time, I
So
don't
I
think,
could put them on in August?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or September.
right.
They've been waiting a while.
Mr. Chairman, just one point, and I don't mean to complicate the process any more than it already is. But if you recall at the last meeting for the Dementia Center, the applicant's engineer presented a concept plan for a revised stormwater management system, adding a basin. And we talked about him preparing a revised stormwater report and associated plans, which we've not gotten yet. Now, I'll certainly defer to the board as to whether or not, once we do review that and issue a corresponding technical letter, whether or not that requires additional testimony. But I would assume members of the public are going to want to hear about it and cross-examine the engineer once again.
So can you be in touch with the engineer and find out when that information is going to become available?
I honestly expected it by tonight because he told me it would be 3 weeks at the last meeting, and I haven't seen it yet. So I will reach out to Mr. Simoff, yes.
So Bob, what you're saying is that this plan that we're going to get through this in one meeting with the stormwater is not a good one, not likely to occur,
It's possible.
challenging?
It's challenging, but
And we
it's-
got a letter from the Environmental Commission related to that as well.
And for the most part, that was a positive letter.
Yes.
Just some issues about how it's going up Dwight, but it was not a, we don't like this revised stormwater design letter.
And my understanding from previously is that part of the reason for doing that the way they did was because the county asked them
We
that.
only talk about the application.
Okay.
Let's be careful what we
So,
talk about.
so I would think then, Marty, we should let the applicant, of course, know that we're anticipating they'll wrap up their presentation on the 29th, and the objector and their witnesses should be ready to go for the 29th, because we're anticipating they're going to put their full case on, and that we can start letting the public, well, I guess after the 29th, we'll decide when the public will be heard for probably.
Then it may not, and the continuation may be on July 20th.
Yeah, that's likely to be what will happen.
Just a comment, is it possible to ever start a meeting a little earlier? No.
We can,
A special
It had to be a
meeting.
special meeting, yeah.
Well, if the 29th is a special meeting, could it start earlier?
It's really difficult for people who work to have to come earlier than 7 o'clock.
It's just a thought.
Yeah.
I handle a couple of boards in Ocean County, and I handle a couple of boards in Ocean County, they start at 6.
If Loretta brings dinner, we could.
but then it'll take you an hour with that and that
She's
thing.
such a good cook, we hear, we wouldn't know, but we've heard.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, typically, if you even start earlier, then you end up with a break in the meeting,
Well,
and
can anybody
it comes,
start earlier? You could want to ask and see if anybody can start at 6?
Yeah, could the planner start at 6 in the meeting?
we don't know.
Right, I'd have a hard time being here for 6. It's hard enough for me to be here for 7. This is extremely busy time for my practice throughout the summer. So having to leave at 6 I would be difficult, and I certainly wouldn't get any opportunity to stop and get something to eat, which means I'd be here for 5 hours without having a chance to eat.
Yeah, that's not good.
Okay, so.
I work from home, but I
have my calendar blocked months in advance, so if I have to make it 6, you've got to tell me
Yeah.
way ahead that, hey, you've got to be here on 6 so I can block the calendar. Otherwise, I have blocked my calendar for the rest of the year from 7 to 9:30.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a thought, thank you.
Well, you better make it 7 to 11 or 12.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Well, hopefully nobody
okay.
expecting to have a meeting.
All right,
on 11
so
o'clock at night.
let's wrap this one up for tonight. So we're going to continue the Dementia Center to June 29th at 7 o'clock without further notice, and hopes of the testimony will be completed that night, and if public comment may begin that night and/or continue on to July 20th. Okay. Item 3.
Memorializing resolution 54 McCandle Road, Alexander and Anna Cosmos, lot 9.03, lot 13, in the R40B zone, CB variance number 458. Applicant granted variance relief to construct additions to the existing dwelling, including proposed outdoor pool, patio, and spa. Relief needed for coverage, rear setback, vehicle gate height.
We have received the draft resolution from our attorney. Does anyone have any additions or corrections to the draft resolution as distributed by Loretta? If there are none, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution drafted.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Aaron,
Yes.
Dr. Blumenthal,
Yes.
Mr. Burkle,
Yes.
Ms. Campus, Dr. Ortiz,
Yes.
Mr. Luciani,
Yes.
and Mr. O'Banapopoulos.
Yes.
Bob, do you have any further reports for this evening?
No reports tonight, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
No. Loretta, do you have anything else for this evening? Any board member have any other activity for tonight other than going home? A motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you,
Opposed?
everybody.
Thank you. Gee. Yeah.
I said it's a shame to put that very
Well, the trouble is that people say they have something coming and then they don't submit the paperwork. And until, and we complain sometimes on these backyard ones, and with paperwork we do get is incomplete.